This is Sparta!
Man, that's all it would take. I got the Miami. Hello everyone, this is Agent Ovo 992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and I should actually say tonight, by the way, because this video is probably not going up to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, but whether you stayed up to watch today's video trying to reflect and discuss how that first half turned into that much happier second half, or maybe you're tuning in the morning the next day because the second that game finished and you were able to sit your head on a pillow, you just fell away into dreamland with a smile on your nasher because Rangers started the Champions League qualifiers off with a fantastic win that saw 2 goals scored, the back door slammed shut, and everything was pretty damn solid. And I truthfully don't know where I want to start with today's video because there is so many different entry points. I can start by speaking about the players, I can speak about the goals, some of the mad moments in the game of football, or I could start with where I actually think I'm going to start, and that is going to be Russell frickin' Martin, who maybe had more outfit changes than Taylor Swift during the Eras tour, but the main thing is he got it right on the day, which was to grab a fantastic win in his first competitive game as Rangers manager, as again Rangers went ahead and won 2-0 versus Panathinaikos. Toughest draw, toughest this. We've not been looking great in the friendlies, we've not had the perfect preparation for it. There's been key injuries affecting players and other people not up to speed yet. There's been visa issues with other stars. Half the fan base nearly melted down at the fact that he was announced as Rangers manager and his back's been up against the wall, but that fact as well as it hasn't been all unified in excitement and heralded in as a hero. Nah, it's been a very, very tricky 4 weeks in the job as a manager, and again, as I said in yesterday's preview video, I was hoping more so than any, even as much as I loved it, I was hoping for him just to try and get people behind, just to get a win today and show some resemblance of what he's trying to build. And truthfully, despite it not being a perfect game and a perfect match to break down, I think you could see where he was going and what he was trying to do. And I think depending on how fair you want to be or how much credit you want to try and give an actual manager, I think you can sit back and reflect on the story and what won us this game of football and at least just give a tip of the cap to Russell Martin. Again, I'm not saying he's a world beater now or he's going to do this and we're definitely going to do that, but again, I'm not just want to sit here, continue to drag a ball behind my back, pulling that weight and say I can't wait for this laddie to fail. Right, he's been dealt some difficult hands over the last couple of weeks. He's got us through there and won 2-0. Again, the job's no done. We still need to go there in a couple of weeks and make sure we solidify and get by the next round. But it's a pretty damn good start. And if you look at, again, the story and how the game was won, it was based on 2 wingers that he's been directly involved with as well. Because Findlay couldn't buy a game or a start last season under 2 different managers. One, Clement, who we heralded as the hero coming to Ibrox, and then Barry Ferguson, who a lot of people my generation and maybe some older or even some younger, that was a hero to us as well, but he still never trusted him. It was the tried and tested, the tried and failed week in and week out, and that guy was just getting a wee couple of minutes here, Well, this is a Champions League qualifier. There's a boy called Oscar Cortes who the club's apparently spent over £4 million on, sitting there fully fit. The pressure is there. The easy choice was to put Oscar Cortes in there, but he's looked and put his trust in Findlay Curtis even after a rough 45 minutes. But again, he's a man manager or head coach, whatever people want to say. He gets in these players' ears and he helps them elevate their game and he gets behind them. It could have been really easy to take off Findlay Curtis, you know what I mean? We seen what Clement was doing every time Igaman misplaced a pass. He was ripped off every single time. It was the same with Baylor Rice. It was the same with younger players, but held in there and stuck in there despite an ugly 45 minutes, and it's shown good management as Findlay went ahead and got the goal that broke this game wide open, and then his individual bit of skill, because of that confidence, because of that boost of scoring the goal, he then gets Panathinaikos sent down with 10 men as well, as somebody needs to pull him away as the young kid's fully beans and he's off and running. So yeah, give him credit to that, and also give him credit to the other man that done it as he went ahead and made the switch and knew when it was time that Curtis has had his moment. But let's go there, let's put the fit down, because how many times have we as a fan base have been sitting frustrated about the lack of killer instinct since maybe Steven Gerrard was at this football club, you know what I mean? Because we were 1-0 up there early on the season, we've had barely any, there's a lot of excuses in there when we were 1-0 up to bring on a holding midfielder, try and make it a wee bit more structurally sound, be a wee bit more patient on the ball, slow everything down. That's what we've seen for years at this football club, but we were 1-0 up in a Champions League qualifier against the toughest team that we could have faced in the second round of qualifying. But what did that maniac go ahead and did he bring on a holding midfielder? Did he try and solidify it with the likes of the Connor Barons or anything like that? No, this man, despite being 1-0 up in a Champions League qualifier, went ahead and brought on 2 strikers and another freaking winger in the park. He leaned forward, he put the fit down, he could smell blood, and we as fans have often smelt blood in the crowd. We've felt right, this is the time, but we've done the cautious, we've maybe done the right thing on paper, but Russell Martin just said, nah, let's go for this, let's keep going forward, let's keep attacking. We've finally got a Rangers manager who's got the first instinct to attack, and his substitutions worked out perfectly as nearly everybody brought on during the attacking substitutions linked up for the second goal, including our boy Gassama, who was absolutely incredible to watch. I'm sure his second touch in our Rangers team in his Rangers career was a freaking goal. We are truly cooking with gas. You're welcome for that one. But again, you've got to give credit to that as well. The way he's worked that, the way he's went about his business, and the way he's overcame that. That's his signing coming to do it. That's the youngster he's put his trust in. So there's been a lot said, and a hell of a lot of it has been negative over the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to start today's video off just to give compliments and give praise when it's due, in my opinion. And it was there. Was it perfect? No. But does it matter? No. Because we won 2-0. And maybe like a very, very good song, you didn't get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. Well, we've now got a manager with that attacking instinct, and even when we were 2-0 up, he was still wanting to go forward, because he finally took off Joel Rothwell, who in my personal opinion was man of the match. Sorry, Curtis, I know you won the official man of the match, but I thought that lad, he was absolutely sensational, making that in the middle. But then, even that, was it a defensive sub? No, he brought on Brami, who's a 10 slash a winger. This maniac was still going ahead and wanting to attack, and I think that will just get more and more fans behind him if he keeps that attacking instinct, if he keeps that attacking mentality against the low blocks and the defensive sides in Scottish football, trying not to give them a breathe. Again, a lot of it wasn't perfect. We've already probably mentioned that a couple of times in today's video, but we're still so early on in the project. But the way that it's heading for me is something that I can be pretty damn excited about. So, just lastly on the gaffer, man, I hope he's enjoying his night away. Go get your feet up, rest, have a bit of broccoli, do whatever you want to do, big man. That was a very, very good game. And that there actually gives me the perfect transition over to the players, because we need to speak about some of these players that eventually built themselves up to playing great. And we've already referenced them a couple of times, but Finlay Curtis, man, one of the few bright sparks that we got to see with our very own eyes this season in terms of the pre-season. But going into last year, we talked about him a lot in this channel, and I've always been very wary, and I almost feel a wee bit protective of him, because there is a wee bit of individualism. He has got a wee bit of confidence about the way he goes about his business. He's an attacker, he loves the wee touches, he loves hubbing pops at goal, and I didn't ever want to see him beat down to just be another emotionless robot. How many kilometres are you running, big man? Well, I've scored 5 goals. Nah, it doesn't matter how many you run. I've been wary of seeing how he steps up from being a very highly touted youth prospect to getting funneled in and tried to shove in and moulded to be something that he's not, which is often the case with young players, and we've talked about a hell of a lot of them over the last couple of years, right? So I have been a wee bit wary of the Finlay Curtis show, but what I am, man, I'm sitting here so damn proud of him. We're talking about Champions League qualifier, right? My arse was making clapping noises before the game. When I'm waiting for the game to kick off, I'm standing in the stands, like, that's all you could hear. Do you know what this kid was doing in his first start in the Champions League qualifying stage? He was doing keepy uppies, feet left, right, knee left, right, up the shoulder, and then a wee Maradona. That's what he's doing minutes before the Champions League qualifier. And that just shows you something new I would love to go and see. And he says he was simply incredible, and he carried that confidence he had pre-game during the game, but it was rough. But that's the best thing you could see about players, because we've seen players burst onto the scene and everything go right, and then being heralded this and lifted up here. We've seen it with Glenn Middleton, we saw it with McCausland, and even when it was happening with McCausland, I kept pulling it back to Glenn Middleton. I've seen youngsters burst on the scene and score goals in Europe and be really great, right? But what I've not seen is those players, when they have tough games and tough moments, be able to build back up to that level. But what we saw today was almost, and obviously a very small sample size, but that exact thing happened. As Curtis for the first 45 minutes was pretty much locked down. It was an education for him. He started off with a couple of nice touches, but then the tackles started to fly in, then he started to lose the ball, then the crowd started to get nervous, then we started to break down attacks, and again, as we've said earlier on in today's video, it was screaming for an early sub. But Russell Martin's done what Russell Martin has been said to be done all his coaching career: get in the ears of these players and get them feeling good about themselves. And he came out in the second half and just had an absolute incredible 10-minute spell that, yes, went ahead and won him the official man of match. Now, am I giving him that? Probably, because I am a wee bit soft that way, and seeing the kid score is obviously a very good story. But it was just that moment for those positions that we need. Wingers brave enough to take men on, and players having shots from range. So I'm not going to take anything away. It was a tough education for him. They went ahead and finished the education by passing the exam with a big goal and a big performance, and also getting somebody sent off. So Curtis, brilliant. Big man. But another two players really stood out to me, and I would love to be sitting here saying Kieran Dowell is one of them, but that never happened. But someone else did have a redemption. Somebody else did respond, and that is Mr. Jackie B, who's went ahead and reminded that he's got frickin' hands and he can do this, and he can do that, and he can stop the circular object for hitting the back of the net, because Jack Butland the night looked like Jack Butland for the first 6 months of his Rangers career. He was big, he was powerful, he made some phenomenal saves, including his first one in the first half, which goes right up there with that one that he got at Rugby Park when we won 2-1, when it looked like we were going to go ahead and ascend to winning the league. Remember that? You when he got down low and somehow kept out after Suter fell there and everything like that? Well, the day that one at the back post to react that way, hit it on. I know he got a wee bit lucky with the attacker then blasting it against the post for the rebound, but sometimes you deserve a luck, and that save there, outrageous. And I just think he's such a confidence keeper, and I think the way that the team was operating, I think the way the defence, I struggle to say, operated last season. I just think he's such a confidence keeper, having those big saves and the big moments, and maybe having the assurances he's seeing in Nasser, and they're seeing it a bit more defensively sound. We might just get to see Jackie B be the goalkeeper we all thought he would be in a Rangers team. And after having to sit here over the last 12 months and be nitpicky and frustrated and mention this negative thing and this negative thing over the last pretty much 12 months of Jack Butland's Rangers career, it is so nice that the only thing that is really negative and only frustrating right now in my noggin is the fact that my missus still absolutely swoons every single time she catches him and tries to catch his eye contact. That's the only thing I've got to worry about right now. But again, if he keeps playing like that, I'll tuck the laddie in if he wants to perform like that. But the last little player I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is the man that honestly had me rubbing my eyes saying, is that Stephen Davis? It is none other than Joe Rothwell. Now again, we've talked about him a lot on this channel, especially in yesterday's preview video. You know, I'm a big fan of him. I did say he's got Stephen Davis-esque qualities, as he is a bit of an orchestrator back there. But saying something is one thing, right? And hoping for something is one thing. But then going out to see it, you talk about growing into a game and really just spreading your influence, and the other players in the team starting to trust you more and becoming a main man in the team. I know it's only his first game, but Joe Rothwell the night was absolutely incredible to watch. Right foot here, driving when he needed to here, left foot here. Really, the longer that game went on, the better he came, and it got to the stage that when he was subbed off, despite it being obviously an attacking sub, which was good to see, I was almost frustrated because his set piece was absolutely on the money, and again, he was just sitting there looking like Stephen Davis, and I didn't say that praise very easily, as you know how much I rate that man and his overall legacy. And again, I'm not saying he's as good as Davis ever was, but there were wee glimpses that I went, oh wow, I've not seen that for a couple of years. And when I think about it, that's probably the three names that I saw with my very own eyes that stood out to me and seemed in the man of the match conversation. Now again, you might disagree with that unless you think it is one of those three. Let me know down in the comment section below. Or if you think it's somebody else, again, let me know. Because we've done this for many, many years. We've had to talk about, annoyingly, some frustrating stuff, some negative stuff. We've had to moan. But for me, the night's no for moaning. It's about some positivity. So I'd love to see how you feel and saw the game, who stood out to you, and who deserves that Man of the Match award. But that's probably it in terms of individual players pickouts at this part in the video. If you stay with me over the next 10 to 15 minutes, you know how I get. Sometimes I'm going to go ahead and do the match recap, so if I've not mentioned a player yet, you'll probably hear him over the next 10 to so minutes. So strap yourselves in for the first official match recap of the season. And again, the first half was iffy. And I wouldn't say there was a specific reason for why it never worked in the first half or why it looked a hell of a lot rougher than that, besides the sort of blanket one you can fire down. Do we look like a finished article? No, because we're not. Do we look like a fluid side that's been playing a hell of a lot of games? No, because we know it's going to take time to get to that stage. We've had barely any experience of playing as a team, especially with a full crowd that's expecting them, I should say, to be the finished article. So it was a massive test today versus the great side that's been testing teams for the last year. Again, 37 games they played last season, separated by 1 goal or less. They know how to frustrate, they know how to slow games down, they know how to get in players' heads, and they know how to make oppositions forget their game plan and play their style of frustrating football. And that was a big test for Russell Martin when he's trying to put all these different ideas. It was almost the perfect chance for Panathinaikos to come up here and pull our scants down. And the first half, it looked like it was actually working. You know what I mean? It was playing into the hands of Panathinaikos. A lot of the attacks were breaking down. You could see the players trying to figure out, no, we're supposed to be doing this. No, you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here. You could see the hands. You could see the questions. You could see the frustrations building, and that was on the park and in the stands. Because again, after 45 minutes, you're really scratching your head and saying, what the hell am I watching? Because despite a long-ranged effort from Raskin that nearly hit me at the corner flag rather than the goal, the first 10 or so minutes for Rangers wasn't anything threatening. It wasn't that attack. It wasn't that gun hole as we were trying to figure it out. And again, Panathinaikos maybe smelt blood in their own way and then started to gamble forward, started to bounce on these balls. The balls were going out wide, either Curtis on this side or Dowell. All they wanted to do was turn in. We had Max Aarons playing at left back, out of position, and then to turn on his right foot every time. So he wanted to come in. The back three that was sort of forming with Tavernier drop him in, left us with Nave, whipped us Kieran Dowell, and you're sitting saying, oh, this looks pretty damn far away from what it needs to be. And we nearly got the sucker punch about 8-9 minutes into the game of football. Panathinaikos gets down after a counter attack. A couple crosses come in. It's poorly defended because again, isn't it fixed just yet in terms of the set pieces. And truthfully, if I had that wee mad remote for click, I probably would skip my entire life to get to the exact point we could defend set pieces. But equally, like the story of that film, I'm a wee bit scared how much I would miss in between, and truthfully how long it would take, because I'd probably be sitting in the corner looking like Bill Murray in Zombieland. That's how long it would frickin' take. But either way, what we didn't fix in terms of our defensive set pieces and getting our heads on the ball, what we did seemingly fix is Jackie B. Again, we've already mentioned it. Incredible save. Now again, the rebound does drop to a Panathinaikos player, but he ends up rattling the post and we get a wee bit of luck there. But that moment, honestly, I think dismantled and really added to the nerves in the stadium, because the first 5 or so minutes we were like, there's that excitement, it's a new season, new era, what we expect to see, you know what I mean? We're not that excited about Russell Martin, but maybe he's been cooking, and then you're seeing that level, and then you're seeing us being bad defensively, set pieces, we're giving the ball away, and we should be 1-0 down, and that nerves just builds and builds and builds, and that really affected the first 15-20 minutes of the game, especially after that major chance. But during this tension and during that periods of play, we end up nearly conceding again, and a lot of it is built on our own mistakes. It's another set piece, you know what I mean? But we end up getting the ball and we've got a chance to clear it, either out for a throw or even just smash out for another corner, which I know is basically giving the opposition a penalty kick, so maybe it was doing the right thing. But we end up trying to play it somehow. Now I know we want to be comfortable, we want to be brave, but surely no fair in byline, Russell. I can't handle that, you know what I mean? I've been put through too much, but we try and play it from our own byline whilst they've still got everybody inside our box, because it was a corner corner. It obviously falls into their path, but their shot is then brilliantly saved again by Butland, and then Big Soapy ends up getting a block on it, which probably was the best thing he'd done in that first half. Speaking of terrifying, wee Raskin got booked early on in the game of football for somebody diving for the second time. Yeah, let me say that again. Raskin, our player, got booked because a Panathinaikos player dived for the second time, and the referee gave the dive. He said it was a dive. You was talking to there, and then Raskin came up and being like, well, if it's a dive, it's got to be a yellow card. And do you know what that brought? A yellow card to Raskin. So wee Raskin gets booked for telling the referee the rules of the game. I just didn't understand it anymore. But a booking I did understand was Big Soapy himself picking up one as Nasser gets a wee bit slack on the football, and Big Soapy just comes in, breaks in it. I've got no problem with this, you know what I mean? Oh, he's gave himself a silly boot in there. I think he's just been smart. He can see the counter-attacks, he can see the overloads. Let me stop this here, let me do a professional foul, let me get a yellow card, and then let's try and get back into shape. So I think that was a deserved booking, and I think Soapy done the right thing picking up there. But you can probably tell for this part of the recap, there wasn't much football to talk about, you know what I mean? Max Aarons, who was very good for his 18 seconds that he played at right back, we'll talk about that when we get to the second half. But on the left hand side, he was constantly cutting in, and that was slowing everything down. We had the wingers again constantly cutting in. It just wasn't working at all for a lot of the first half until we finally sparked into life around about the 36th minute, and it was a ball zipped in to Danilo, who, to be fair to him, he done the doggies today. You know what I mean? Running here, pressing the goalie here, winning a foul here, and sometimes I did give the ball ways. He tried to zip in and play it back. It wasn't a perfect overall performance again for him, but I almost felt bad for him because he was running, he's panning, and it just wasn't clicking, and it just wasn't connecting. But one of the few times that it did connect, as the ball gets driven into him, he passes the ball beautifully, lays it off, holding off the defender to Dio. Dio has a shot that's well saved by the goalie. That gets us a corner kick, and then I see Joe Rothwell's phenomenal locks just flowing in the wind as he puts the ball down for a corner, and I'm like, we've actually put the most dangerous set-piece taker in the championship on our set-pieces. This is finally exciting to see, and he puts one right on the money. Unfortunately, Soapy can't get there, but we've got enough of the pressure on the ball. Then drops to Danilo, whose volley is inches wide via a deflection. But again, it's promising, it's putting us in attack, and it's taking the crowd that's feeling nervous and confused about what we're watching, and actually getting people, getting bums off the seats and getting people pretty excited, and that's what you need. And that must have been the message, or at least was echoed and drilled into these players at half time, because we were sharper in the second half. It took us, what, 30-40 seconds to do what we never done for nearly 36 in the previous, and that was getting a shot on target as we Raskin and we Curtis end up doing a wee cheeky 1-2, and then it ends up resulting in a Raskin having a shot on target. Now again, it wasn't a worldie or a phenomenal save or anything like that, but it just gets the crowd up, and it just eases that nervous tension because we're getting to see attacking football, and that's what we want to see. So as the players and the fans started to match and started to build towards something, they end up getting a ridiculous free kick as he ends up flopping. Again, I talked about it yesterday, dark art, shithousery, diving, call it what you will. They end up getting a free kick, and our line, when I say is high, I mean high. That's the level we're talking about here. It's so far up, so they try and swing it in. Now I think if it does go in, there maybe is a potential offside in here, but either way, it wasn't flagged as offside. It ends up becoming and Fawn doing it, and then Jack Butland's forced it to make it another very, very good save. But again, it's us. Yes, I like the line, I like us being confident, I like us being aggressive, but then you've got to drop as a team. You can't have three people here drop them whilst everyone else pushes up here, or it's a recipe for disaster, and that's what it nearly was. I thought Jack Butland making another phenomenal save. But thankfully, after Jack Butland makes another save, which wasn't as impressive as his other two, but still equally important, he gets the ball and right away fires it forward. It gives it to wee Raskin. Raskin turns and does what Raskin always does. Pushes forward, tries to look forward, plays the ball into Findlay Curtis. Now the touch Curtis makes, me or man, see if I had a touch like that, God, I probably would still know I've made it. But it's an incredible touch, and it just sets him on his way. It's so beautiful the way he runs onto it. He opens the body up, and then again he's saying himself he just wanted to have a hit and see what happens. We'll keep that mentality. Didn't he be beat down? Didn't he get out coached? Didn't he get coached into being a certain? Just keep that type of mentality, Curtis. Just hit it and see what happens, because that's exactly what can happen. You can be gone for a game that if he doesn't have that shot, and if he plays it safe, he's probably getting subbed off in the next 5 minutes. And what's the conversation? It's too far for him. That's why you can't play, kids. Let's give him a loan. He's not ready yet. But because he's got that fearlessness in him, because he's willing to have a pop, the conversation is completely different. And that's the fine margins in really making it at Rangers and just being bang average and then soon to be forgotten. It's being brave in those moments. It takes a slight deflection, but couldn't collapse. It's an incredible goal, and it's an assist for my boy, Mr. Raskin. Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the freaking contract. But after that goal, again, we've already talked about it. We went ahead and looked towards the bench, and as you saw, attacking options start to warm up. Again, the crowd's gone, Russell Martin's bringing on attackers, never hat, and the excitement is starting to build, as is the atmosphere already up to that level, because we've just scored. Curtis is feeling good about himself, takes another gorgeous wee touch, pulls away from his man, and he just absolutely wrestles him to the ground, which results in a second yellow card and a red. Clear and obvious, absolutely, in my personal opinion. And if anybody wants to moan at it, please look at the other 6 or 7 dives that happened in the game of football that went unpunished. You're lucky only one of them was ending up getting sent off on the park, and that's because they pretty much German suplexed our young wonder kids. So as you can imagine, we've got 3 attackers warming up the sideline. We have scored a goal, and we've got a man sent off. The atmosphere was incredible. The players were feeling it, and what we saw was more attacking. Over the next 10 minutes, it was our best bit of football by far, in my personal opinion. We spring the ball right to Curtis. We delicate back heel into our boy Raskin, who chips up to Kieran Dowell. And I'm like this, troops, you know what I mean? I'm like this. The sharp is nearly half the boy's back, as I think we're going to see a Champions League goal scored by Kieran Dowell that isn't a part of the career mode. If you know, you know. But Raskin's wonderful delivery to the back post, and to be fair, Dowell's good run results in his header going just over the bar, and maybe it's for a good reason, right? And I know that might sound ridiculous, but I genuinely don't know how I would have responded to Kieran Dowell scoring a Champions League goal in Big 2025. I might have done this. Bollock naked for the sales. But before the changes were made, there was more attacking output from Rangers, and nearly another moment for one of my fan favourites, and that is our boy Nico Raskin, as he's involved in some beautiful runs and wee moments. Now again, his position's been slightly tweaked and slightly changed, and I think it will take some time, as there was a lot of periods in the game I thought, get wide, Tav, whip the ball and get wide, Tav, but that's not his job anymore. It's to sit in, and it's on Dowell, it's on the midfielders, it's on Dio, it's on Danilo, it's on these boys to make it happen there. Tavernier's role's heavily restricted now, right? But we're talking about wee Raskin, and it gets the ball in the right area, does a wee fake shot, forces the keeper into a good save. You're like, oh, that's so unlucky, but then the ball bounces back. He does well to win the ball back. He then sends the defender for a hot dog, you know what I mean? He's nearly back in Greece before the shot is ended up hitting, but it's another good save. It's such a good save, in fact, the goalkeeper nearly injures himself making the double block and making the double save to reject our Belgian prince, and that's very, very frustrating. But that was the last little period before we rang the changes and the 3 attackers came on, and Russell Martin again sat forward, and before you could even start to ponder what it could potentially look like, the ball was in the back of net again. And what I find interesting here, right, see if you pull it all the way back, right, Danny, I'm trying not to laugh, that right to the moment that Max Aarons has the ball. Can you look at the defending for Max Aarons? It's the best he's looked all night, and do you know why he looked so good? Because he was on the right hand side, because we were reflecting and reacting to a change made by Panathinaikos, because they had won a corner, because they had done that. Max Aaron's just naturally found himself at the right back spot, and the winger tries to take him on, tries to win a corner kick. Max Aaron pushes him, holds him, defensively does it, then just fakes it, takes it in the right hand channel, plays a ball into Eggman, who again, do not underestimate the first touch, the ability to hold the man off and play it in to really kickstart this counter-attack and make it the goal that it ended up being. It's all built for quality. And again, Max Aaron's with the 18 seconds that he played, we got a wee glimpse in what his future could be like if he does get to play in his natural position. And for me, it's very, very promising. But that was really strong, what Eggman done, and then what Dio done as well. And I just like Dio, I really, really do. I know he's a bit indifferent to some folk, but he has got a wee bit of football to him. In fact, a lot of football in my personal opinion. I think we bypassed a lot of that with that long ball guff that we played for too long, but he picks the right pass, it's the right moment, plays it into Gassama, and Big Gassy went ahead and said before he came on, Russell Martin tell him to stay out wide, get in a 1v1 position, and take your man on, and you're fine. That's what we talked about in the player profile as well, and that is what this kid went ahead and frickin' done. Ball out wide, takes his man on, has a look to where the goalkeeper is, it just rifles a shot. He's no beat down. You've got to pass in here, you've got to recycle, you've got to wait for a fullback to overload, you've got to do this, you've got to come inside. It's run out wide, take a touch inside, and have in a frickin' shot. Somewhere in Germany, Czerny is sitting there with a big frickin' water gun like that at the telly with tears in his eyes, watching a Rangers team carve teams open and be built on wingers cutting in to shoot, because you can imagine how he would look in this range. You take Kieran Dowell's position right now, go on, Arezio, whatever that says, right? You take him away and you plump Czerny in there. That is matching what we're trying to do on the left, what we're doing on the right, and it would be an incredible, incredible fit in my opinion. But it's just unfortunate for Czerny that he was a year too soon for truly on a ball dominant Rangers team. But again, we do it on the other side, cut and bang, brilliant goal, and it truly was game, set and frickin' match. And it's funny, right, because I heard a couple guys towards the end of the game frustrated that it only ended 2, and I get it, you could pretty much wrap up the tie right now, but if you'd have offered any Rangers fan going into the second leg of this qualifier just a week ago, just 2 days ago, just a day ago, when we heard that Tello was injured and Gassama is no injured, and where we are right now, a 2-0 win at Ibrox to take over to Greece, I think every single one of us is taking that. It could have been free, as Eggman has a chance at the back post where he rises up very well and he does it just wide. There was a couple wee moments where we had an option and a wee chance, but it was well defended. Big Gas on the left hand side was just carving bodies and taking people's names, you know what I mean? Cutting in, shooting, cutting in, crossing, cutting in. He was causing havoc down there. That boy's half fit. So there is moments and nearlies and maybes, but again, 2-0 up the road, happy, nay, further injuries, and it's another 2 weeks before we play them again, so we're going to be even sharper and getting more of that rust off with another wee game in between in terms of Borough. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing for me to moan at. It wasn't the Mona Lisa the day, but it was never gonna be. It was all about getting the result. We got the result. So let's not move the goalposts and moan. But I'm going to try and get this video up now because, oh my god, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. This video's not going to go up for ages. But hopefully you do enjoy this video whenever you do watch it. YouTube's probably going to kill it because I'm going to post it about 2, 3 AM. But if you do eventually see it, if you don't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great. And also shout out to the Channel Legend members who have signed up to the Channel Legend memberships. Absolutely incredible. We greatly, greatly appreciate it, as we do those that signed up to the supporter range. And also everyone that tunes in to watch every single game. And also some of the lads and some of the legends that I met today's game, you know what I mean? Scott, he was telling me a wee funny story that his missus absolutely hates me because she always hears my voice because he watches every single video. So thank you, Scott, shout out to you, mate. Hopefully you had a good night. And also shout out to another subscriber I met from Melbourne, you know what I mean? He flew over for the game and he was telling me how much he watches the channel and it makes him feel like he's at home, and that's really, really kind. Hopefully it's a safe flight home, big man, and we get to run into each other at another game very, very soon. But I'm going to wrap up today's video there with a thank you to each and every single person watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I've been CJ092. Take care of yourselves, everyone. All the best, and bye-bye.